And welcome back. We are now at the step where we are probably familiar with the animation process. So let's go ahead and jump right in and go into Window and Timeline and turn on that. We want to choose to create a frame animation here. And as you can see, we've already created that first diamond, looking great. Let's go ahead and actually now go ahead and do at least, let's make 10 frames of animation this time. All right, just so we have something different. Or even just 9 frames would be good, just so we have a little bit of something different. Let's start with 9. We can add additional frames. Not a big deal. So obviously on our first frame of animation, we go to frame 1. Let's turn off the sparkle and turn off layer 2, because we want just this base layer here of our animation to be present. Now let's go to frame 2. On frame 2, we want to toggle that to be frame 2 and frame 1 off. And let's do frame 3 now. Let's have it go back to frame 1, but we want to start our sparkle here because we want that to start showing here just a little bit. All right. Now we go to frame number 4. Frame 4, we want to turn off 1, turn on 2, and turn on sparkle 2. Frame 5, we're going to again go back to 1, but we're turning on sparkle number 3. Frame 6 should be frame 2 and sparkle 4. Now, of course, we have some extra frames here. So let's just go ahead and delete those frames. No big deal. And then we'll just test this out and see how it looks with these 6 frames of animation we have here. And if you notice, it's going really fast here. And I might want to slow that down just a little bit just so I can see some of my detail in greater effect. So I'm actually going to go ahead and change each of these 2.1 seconds. So it's not going to be much of a delay, but it will be just enough that it's going to affect my animation. And now that those are each 0.1, let's go ahead and play this just to see how much different this is going to look. And you can see now we have this going here. Looks pretty great. And you have our sparkle coming out here. And if I really want to see how this sparkle is really looking, I of course can add a background against this. I could add like just a background. So let's just see that real quick just to see how that's going to look. So I'm actually just going to add a new layer, and I'm going to drag that beneath everything here because I want that to be that background layer. Grab our paint bucket tool, and let's just go ahead and kind of fill that in with kind of a dark gray. That sounds good. And that will let us see that sparkle animation a lot more here. And so we just want to make sure that is present on each of our frames. Looks like it is. So let's go ahead and go back to frame 1 and press play just to see that in action. And you can see now that we have that gray background there, we can really see how our sparkle looks. And it looks pretty good. And of course, we have simulated the movement of our diamond here. Now, of course, we could do other things here to go ahead and animate this. We could add additional rotations in here. So for example, we only did this with 2 sides. We could of course show additional pieces of this rotation to really kind of help bring in the different aspects of how this is spinning. But for today's, this is something that of course we are very familiar with. One thing we could do of course to add another layer to this is we could add additional speed changes. For example, we can maybe like, hey, we want when this sparkle comes out, maybe we want this to go a little quicker, or vice versa. We can do different things to play around with this, and having additional faces here in our animation could of course add additional detail that we could then add in. We could of course do stuff with our sparkle because maybe we want other sparkles to appear on this animation. So for example, if I have let me just go ahead and grab this layer, bring it up, and I'm going to call this Other Sparkle. All right, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and let's actually color pick this. I'm going to color pick off this blue, just so I'm in the blue shades. And I am actually going to drag this again towards the white, but I want it to be a little more subdued because it's underneath. There we go. And I'm going to go ahead and start saying, I want another sparkle to appear, but I want this other sparkle to appear in maybe in a different time framing. So maybe like they go other than each other. So I'm going to maybe start with 1 pixel down here, just maybe right here. And I'm going to repeat that process. And then let's do this one is going to be 1 in each direction. And then and you kind of understand by now how this is working. Use my eraser tool, take that center out, hide those other layers just so I can see how this is growing. And let's just do one more. Hide layer 3. All right, just so we have a second sparkle appearing here on our animation, and we want this one, maybe this is going to be frame 4 is where this one's going to appear. So if I go back to frame 1, and I might say, you know what, I want this to be frame 1. Let's do frame 2 and frame 3. So now when we play this one, we have 2 sparkles going in our animation here. Now the only thing is you'll notice with this one, it doesn't have the same kind of popping effect as what we had up here with this one, and that's because of how we set up this one versus how this one is set up. And you see this one's a lot smaller here. And so that might be something we just have to revisit within the actual sparkle animations here. We might have to say, you know, we want this sparkle animation to actually grow a little bit faster here. We may want to say, you know, we actually want this to come out so that way this one is not simply just this one small frame here. We might say, you know, we actually want this to be 2 frames now, and we might say, all right, let's erase that core, go to frame 3 here, and okay, well, since that one was bigger, now we're gonna make this one bigger, and let's go ahead and do the same thing with the last sparkle. Just gonna go ahead and add on to that and erase that. All right, and so now we go back, turning on frame 1, hit play. Oh, I think I forgot to toggle on my other sparkles here. That might make a difference in our presentation. There we go. And just make sure that that's off for 5, off for 6. There we go. And so now when we play this, you can see we have 2 different sparkle animations going on, and that really helps bring this diamond asset to life here. When we come back next time, we'll do our sprite sheet.